Yo! Video games.
What up, dudes? Matt here from YoVideogames with another Real Talk. Well, this was a doozy of a week for PlayStation fans as Sony finally peeled back the layers on 2 years of silence on not only the PlayStation 5, but also many of the first-party projects they've been working on it in the background. And while I definitely feel there's a lot to be excited about coming for the system, and boy does that kind of game look right up my alley, there is one aspect I wanted to talk about that sticks out to me. That, of course, being the price. This is not exclusively an issue with Sony, though. Quite the contrary. This is absolutely a problem shared with Microsoft, and Nintendo has definitely been guilty of this in the past as well. Both Sony and Microsoft insist that their next-generation consoles are coming out this year, and we all know exactly what that means. Middle of November, just before Green Friday, as the stores would like you to call it. That leaves us at exactly 5 months before launch, with no specific day and with no clue as to what it's going to cost. Now, I can hear the furious clicks of keyboards typing out their angry replies already about how this is not something entirely new, and wanting everything at once is unrealistic and entitled, etc., etc. However, I think in the year 2020, this presents us with a much different landscape than usual, and the timidness by both companies to commit to a day or price is not really benefiting anyone, especially not the actual people who want to buy them. We live in a world where the largest market is still suffering the effects of a global pandemic, and as of the recording of this episode, actually looks to be getting worse again, not better. The fallout of this has been a catastrophic amount of job losses. Unemployment is at an all-time high, and this is a very real problem, and it absolutely has a direct correlation to the game industry. Besides just the layoffs, many still employed have been forced to take reduced pay, or hours, or both. It's pretty obvious to see where I'm going with this. The PS5 and the Xbox do not look cheap. Even with Sony offering a discless version of the PS5, everyone is still waiting to see if the dreaded meme of $599 US, which still haunts Sony to this day, resurfaces. But it seems Microsoft and Sony would rather keep its corporate game of chicken going as long as they can. I can think of a couple possible reasons for this. The first being that each wants the other to be their guinea pig for free market research. Should one console price and release be announced, the other can see how the general populace will react to it, and decide if undercutting the price and jumping ahead of its release would be worth the risk. There is no more better recent example of this than the PS4 launch press conference at E3, where Sony quickly threw together a video explaining on how to share games on the PS4, essentially burying Microsoft before a single console had been sold.
This is how you share your games on PS4.
Thanks.
The other similar reason may have to do with profit margins. Now, both Sony and Microsoft are no strangers to selling their consoles for a loss, especially at launch. However, with such an aforementioned bear market upon us, the ever-appeased shareholders might be putting pressure on both companies to sell the hardware above cost. Now, this is where the conundrum comes in, because if selling over cost means going into the $600 territory, each run the risk of pricing the console out of the majority of people's price range. It took the PS3 many years and multiple console revisions and price cuts to eventually bring the console sales back to a respectable level. There was a time when more people owned a Wii balance board than a PS3. Now, while these may be the reasons, to me they are not good enough excuses. With exactly 5 months to go and an uncomfortable level of unemployment and reduced pay going around, I personally feel it's a disservice by both companies not to get this out in the open. If it's going to be $600 for these systems, it's better to rip that band-aid off now, and better yet, let people decide if it's something they can afford now or not. These are luxury products, and while it's true people pay these prices every year for new phones, nobody needs a PS5 or a Xbox to function with everyday life. People everywhere are making hard choices on things. They have to scale back and give up on a lot of luxury items, and keeping an air of uncertainty about whether or not they can afford the big new console that's been hyped up for years now, this comes off as dickish to me. Precedent or not, I think this is the year you don't hold back your price point, more than any other year. But for now, it seems we all just have to wait and speculate as these two massive multi-billion-dollar corporations beat around the bush about whether or not their entirely frivolous entertainment device is affordable or not. I am excited for what's to come from these games on these systems, but this year, more than others, Sony and Microsoft avoiding the question of price comes off as real goddamn annoying. Let me know what you guys think, and I will see you on the channel. Later, dudes.